Good morning. So here again we are going to look upon a significant chapter in literary forms, that is a second type of essay called critical. So the critical essay, how it evolved, and particularly in this PowerPoint we are going to look after the origin, development, and who are the key figures of the critical essay in English literature. So how to define the critical essay? Where is its origin? What is the purpose? What are the themes it should have? So the purpose of the critical essay is to evaluate, discuss, and interpret literary works. Evaluate means we say you have to determine or you have to fix the value for. In Tamil we say it as madipeedu, right? Then discuss, we are going to discuss our ideas. We are going to share our ideas. And interpret. So interpretation, I am trying to communicate something to you and you will have your own idea about it, or we can say I'm just going to explain it and understand the meaning of something. So this is what interpret means. So the purpose of critical essay would be evaluate, discuss, and interpret. So where is its origin from? It was introduced by John Dryden during the Restoration period. So what is Restoration period? It was a time in English history and literature which began in 1660 after the rule of Oliver Cromwell's Commonwealth. And this period ended with the Glorious Revolution in 1688. So to bring about an important political event, the Restoration period was marked by the return of Charles II to the throne after the rule of Republican governments. So this period was marked by revival of drama and literature, and we have a wide expansion of our colonial trade. It was the beginning of journalism, and this period ranges from it had its monarchy in England in 1660. So this is a brief account about restoration. So coming to the themes of critical essays, it focuses mainly on literary criticism. What is literary criticism? So literary criticism is analysis, interpretation, and evaluation of the work of literature. That is what we already see in the purpose of literature. You are going to take a work, suppose you are going to take a poem and you are going to analyze the poem and you are going to interpret the poem and you are going to finally evaluate the work of literature. This is what a literary criticism is. So the ultimate goal of the literary criticism is to help the readers better understand and engage with the text. So you have to analyze the work's content, style, setting, historical, political context, and cultural statements. So the next slide, John Dryden is called the father of critical essay, whereas Sir Francis Bacon is the father of aphoristic essay. So in 1664, Dryden wrote his critical preface for The Rival Ladies. This was the first critical preface by Dryden. So later on, he produces numerous prefaces and dedications in critical essay sales. So it is not only one in number, he has written so many. So he was considered the first literary critic in English language. So what are the characteristic features of Dryden's critical essays? Again, he comes to sub-objectivity. So primarily objective in nature, focusing on literary analysis. Objective in the sense, a way of evaluating a work of person without being influenced by personal opinions or feelings. So you can say it as you are going to evaluate the work structure, theme of the language, and you are very much specific about the content, but you can help them improve and guide them towards new heights. Simply you can say it is a constructive feedback based on unbiased. You are very much, you are not partial, uh, but the thoughts and facts rather than emotional and personal preference. So it helps the reader to better engage with or challenge that writing. So personal touch, it often exhibits types of personal essays reflecting the writer's personality. So it again has a personal touch over the writer. So what are the remarkable works by John Dryden? The first one being an essay on dramatic poesy, then prefaces, then dedication. These are all the names of Dryden. Notable and remarkable works written by Dryden. Essay on dramatic poesy, prefaces, dedications. So what is this essay on dramatic poesy? This essay on dramatic poesy was probably written in 1666 during the closure of London theatres due to plague. So when the plague comes and enters England, the London theatres were closed. So it was during that period this essay on dramatic poesy was published. It can be read as a general defense of drama as a legitimate art form, taking up Sir Philip Sidney's defense of poesy as well as Dryden's own defense of his literary practices. There were 4 characters in this essay of dramatic poesy. They were all the respected member of gentry class, and it is entitled to join a dialogue on an unequal footing with the other 3. So this dramatic essay on dramatic poesy is a type of literary criticism that seeks to establish or advocate a set of principles or rules for a particular genre or form of literature. So the main theme is tragic comedy rather than being a straight drama, masculinity rather than femininity, passion rather than meekness, action rather than passivity. So Dryden followed all the dramatic unities in his dramatic poesy, unity of time, place and action. These are all the special gift of this particular work. So coming to the second one by Dryden, it is prefaces. Prefaces, you might come across this particular work in Restoration Age, and this particular preface prizes his co-writer for his sober and judicious corrections. And he has written so many prefaces, especially to prefaces to The Tempest or The Enchanted Island, prefaces to fables ancient and modern, preface to Ovid's epistles. So Dryden has written so many prefaces. So what are the main features of his particular prefaces is it discusses of translation and the art of developing new genres. Dryden's prefaces discuss the art of translation in his own approach to adopting ancient works in English verse. And scholars have selected Dryden's prefaces as being culturally important and part of the knowledge base of civilization. Particularly in prefaces to the epistles of Ovid, Dryden discusses the difficulties of translating from one language to another. So he began with translations of Homer's Iliad and Ovid's Metamorphoses, which were successful, encouraging him to translate tales from Chaucer, Boccaccio and Ovid as well. So what is about his so-called work dedication? So John Dryden dedicated several of his works, including All for Love, The Music of the Prophetess, and the Aeneid, to various people. And he being an English poet, dramatist, and critic, is so clear and professional, and he has dedicated all his essays into his all his essays for the sake of certain great personalities and aristocratic patrons with the help of the genre critical essays. So his dramatic contribution to English prose. So far we have seen about his drama and his contributions, dedications, everything. So now we are going to look upon his contribution to prose. John Dryden, particularly in the middle style, referring to a translation approach that strikes a balance between a word-for-word translation and completely free interpretation. So he brings to note about word-for-word translation, that is translating by word, and he goes for interpretation, essentially opting for a paraphrase that captures the essence of the original text while adapting it to the language and conventions of the target audience. So it avoids the rigidity of a literal translation while also not staying too far from the original meaning, aiming for a natural flow in the translated text. So versatility is adapting things. He, being a writer, is evident in many of his works, including plays, poems, essays, translations, and criticisms. Being a dominant figure in the English Restoration period, his plays, The State of Innocence. It is a rhymed version of Paradise Lost that was never performed. So again, I would bring to your note about this essay of dramatic poesy. There was a dialogue that compares English and Spanish poetic drama to traditional French poetry. So Dryden also wrote many verses on the death of Oliver Cromwell. So with his middle songs and unspontaneous lyrics, careful and melodic versification, and lack of poetic expression of the different emotions, he also contributed to this prose with the help of word-for-word translation and imitation. Thirdly, it is clarity. So So to tell about clarity, prose is a written language that is unmetered. It follows grammatical rules and is organized into sentences and paragraphs. So he has a clear-cut clarity about everything that he writes. He developed a professional style in which he adhered to the patterns and the rhythm of ordinary speech. So coming to the accessibility, so all his works are easily accessible, and there is the contribution he laid to the foundation for the development of literary criticism in the English language is always spoken. So Dryden developed the middle style of English prose more suited for miscellaneous purposes than the ornate style of his predecessors. Miscellaneous is it is a box of miscellaneous items for sale, we say, that is consisting of many different types. Though he may have many purpose for writing, he still maintained the ornate style of his predecessors. That is, who is his predecessor? He is Montaigne. He always followed the style of Montaigne. Ornate style is giving importance to even every part of the work. That is, each and every part of the genre is very important. Even the complicated designs are made as decorations. We can say elaborate or luxuriant, or you can say it fancy. It's not just plain, it is decorative and ornamented. We can say he always used flowery language that adds rich descriptions and intricate details. So coming to the 19th century being the golden age of critical essays. So during this period, most scholars are alluding to the Victorian era in British literature, particularly highlighting the significant contributions of writers like John Stuart Mill, Thomas Carlyle, Matthew Arnold, and George Eliot, who produced influential critical essays that explored social, political, and philosophical themes with depth and intellectual rigor. They are often published in prominent journals of the time. So their main focus was on social commentary, to talk about inequality, industrialization, role of women in society, and particularly in the development of literary criticism as a field. During the Victorian era, they had dedicated journals and publications to analyze literature. So they are having a diverse perspective over the period, and it was wide-ranging intellectual debates and diverse critical approaches. So coming to Ralph Waldo Emerson. So Ralph Waldo Emerson is called as the father of transcendentalism. He was committed to individualism and credited as the father of transcendentalism. He was an American essayist, lecturer, philosopher, and poet. And what does this transcendentalist do? They believe that society and its institutions, particularly organized religion and political parties, corrupt the purity of the individual. That is to say in plain, the politicians are huge in number in every country. So what they do, these political parties, they have some particular religion in common. And these political parties and religions organized in a way, they want to corrupt the individual. For example, they want to corrupt the citizen of the country. That is called transcendentalism. So they have faith that people are at their best when truly self-reliant and independent. It is only for such real individuals the true community can form. So to bring out the main definition of transcendentalism, it is a philosophy, we can say, that emphasizes a prior condition of knowledge and experience, or the unknown character of ultimate reality, or that emphasizes the transcendent as a fundamental reality. So it is a philosophy that asserts the primacy of the spiritual and transcendental over the material and the empirical. So next thing, the second major themes of Ralph Waldo Emerson's works are nature and self-reliance. So here, these themes are basically in his critical works. So these themes are influenced and shaped the American literary and philosophical thoughts of the period. So coming to William Hazlitt, his literary criticism mainly focuses on Shakespeare and English poets. Then comes art criticism. He wrote extensively on painting and visual arts. Then coming for the social commentary, he addressed the contemporary issues in his essay. What is prevailing now was given importance in William Hazlitt's essay. So apart from this, William Hazlitt, as an English writer who worked in many different genres, is a pivotal figure in the history of literary criticism and is one of the greatest prose stylists in the history of English language. And his style is always concrete, vivid, personal, and vigorous. He is the master of paradoxes and aphorisms. So his themes would naturally be human nature, morality, and politics. Then comes Matthew Arnold. He mainly focuses on cultural criticism. He emphasized the importance of culture in every society. So what is his contribution to literary theory? He developed many influential concepts in literary criticism. Then to come out with this poetical analysis, he wrote extensively on various poetic forms and styles. So we can say that he is an all-rounder in literary criticism. So to talk about this Matthew Arnold specially, he claims poetry is superior to philosophy, science and religion. So when comparing with philosophy, science and religion, he always says that poetry is far superior than anything else. So he is also called as the father of criticism. Generally, the who is considered the father of English criticism is John Dryden, rather than he was a contemporary writer of John Dryden. So his poetics is a milestone in criticism, and as well his poems and essays or supports and indeed helps to direct the Victorian majority's view. Then he became the first professor to lecture in English rather than Latin. His main idea as a poet is he explored isolation and conflict with the dark and difficult world themes like loneliness, isolation, classical characters and ideas, and the flaw of modern life. So the next figure being Thomas Carlyle. His focus is mainly on historical aspect. He wrote critical essays on historical figures and events, and his social commentary is far most important. That is, he addressed some contemporary social issues in his work, and he has a distinct style to tell upon. He has his own unique and often challenging prose style. Thomas Carlyle, being the French Revolution a History, is a 3-volume work that was first published in 1837. The book is detailed account for the French Revolution, which took place from 1789 to 1799 and had a profound impact on European history. So that is considered as a masterpiece of Thomas Carlyle, one of the great historian and essayist of the 19th century. So next comes John Ruskin. He is famous for his art criticism and his influential writing in art and architecture is always remarkable. Then to talk about the social reform, his essays mostly address the societal issues and trying to reform it. So he explored the connection between nature, art and morality in his works. He has been acknowledged as one of the greatest stylists in English language. There is a variety and flexibility in his style. He always modifies his prose style according to the need of the subject matter. So his theory of literature is all forms of typical beauty please, because these forms symbolize divine order in material things. So John Ruskin, being an artist and art critic, a teacher, writer and a social critic and philosopher, had great achievements. So 20th century critical essays, they had some modernistic influence. This 20th century critics, they bring so many perspectives to literary analysis. They incorporate the modernist ideas and at times they address the contemporary issues. T.S. Eliot and F.R. Lewis made significant contributions to the critical essay genre again. Their work shaped modern literary criticism. T.S. Eliot is known for his poetic innovation, especially tradition and individual talent. This is a remarkable piece of criticism by T.S. Eliot. He revolutionized modern poetry with works like The Waste Land. And to talk about his critical essays, he had a great influence over it in bringing about the literature and culture in a particular work. So tradition and individual talent, it explored the relationship between past and present form of literature. So F.R. Lewis is also shaping the modern criticism. So he has a close connection with reading and formation. He advocated for detailed textual analysis. Whatever the text is taken, it should be detailed and it should have some detailed textual analysis. You must have the text in a very detailed manner so that your analysis should always be brought out in that particular way. So canon formation, it influenced the literary canon through his crucial works. So the literary formation is basically found in his works. So he also addressed broader cultural issues in his essays. So almost all the Victorian poets and as well as his modern critics, they give importance to the cultural issues and contemporary issues of that particular period. So with this, we are coming to conclude this particular type of essay called critical essays. You have to make note of the remarkable writers. Those are the most important thing, and hope you understand this. Thank you.